Hey, my good friends, and welcome back. So, let's talk about something that's got a lot of people buzzing in Washington right now, a fiery, marathon speech on the Senate floor that's making major headlines. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon took to the floor and spoke for nearly 19 hours straight, aiming his message directly at President Trump. Yeah, 19 hours. That's not a typo. So, what's driving a senator to stand up for nearly an entire day and night to deliver one speech? And more importantly, what exactly is he trying to say about the state of American democracy right now? Senator Merkley's speech began Tuesday evening and ran through the night into Wednesday morning. It wasn't just any political rant, it was a full-blown warning. At one point, he said, "We're in the most perilous moment, the biggest threat to our republic since the Civil War. President Trump is shredding our Constitution." That's a bold statement, right? He had these huge posters behind him that read, "Authoritarianism is here now," and "Trump is violating the law." It was clear he wasn't just giving a speech, he was staging a kind of wake-up call to America. Now, if you've been following U.S. politics lately, you know things have been tense. There's been a government shutdown, partisan gridlock, and a ton of finger-pointing. But Merkley's speech took things to another level. He accused President Trump of using federal power against cities that oppose him, specifically mentioning deployments of the National Guard and federal troops to places like Portland and Chicago. These, he said, were moves to punish democratic cities, something he framed as an outright attack on democracy. It's the kind of language we usually hear when people are talking about authoritarian regimes, not U.S. politics. But Merkley was adamant. He even brought a copy of the book How Democracies Died to the Senate floor, using it as a visual reminder of what he believes is happening. And that raises an interesting question. Do you think America could ever slide toward authoritarianism, or are speeches like this just political theater? Throughout his speech, Merkley kept coming back to one key idea: equal justice under law. He said that right now, the country is moving toward what he called unequal injustice, where government power is being used selectively against people and places the president dislikes. He warned that once that door is open, it's almost impossible to close. It's the kind of message that makes you stop and think, how much power should any president have? And where's the line between maintaining order and overstepping it? But beyond the speech itself, there's the bigger picture. Merkley's warning came while the government is still partially shut down, with Congress locked in a standoff over spending. And that's what makes this even more interesting, because his speech wasn't just about Trump personally. It was also about how the country's institutions are functioning, or maybe not functioning right now. Are these long floor speeches, like Merkley's or Senator Cory Booker's earlier this year, actually making a difference? Or are they just symbolic moments in a time when Congress itself feels gridlocked? What's fascinating is that Merkley's not alone in this concern. Other senators stepped in to support him. Senator Ron Wyden, also from Oregon, said Merkley was making particularly relevant and important points about the threat. Senator Richard Blumenthal even compared what's happening to the partial demolition of the White House's East Wing, saying it was symbolic of what's happening to democratic institutions. Dramatic imagery, right? But it drives home just how high the stakes feel in Washington right now. And here's where things get even more real. The Supreme Court is expected to weigh in soon on whether the president actually has the authority to deploy the National Guard into cities that oppose it. That's not a hypothetical. It's a real case that could redefine the limits of executive power in the U.S. Think about that for a second. A decision like that could reshape how power works between the federal government and local communities for years, maybe decades. So it's worth asking, when senators like Merkley speak out like this, is it because they see something truly alarming, or because they're trying to shape the narrative ahead of those big decisions? And either way, does it matter if the end result is more public attention on constitutional questions? Merkley's speech may not immediately change any laws, but it's clearly designed to plant a flag. It's saying, this is where I stand. He's urging Americans to pay attention, to think critically about what kind of government they want. Whether you agree with him or not, it's a reminder that democracy isn't something that maintains itself automatically. It depends on people engaging, questioning, and holding leaders accountable. And maybe that's the deeper message here. It's not just about Trump or Merkley. It's about the tension that's always existed in American democracy, the tug-of-war between authority and liberty, between order and freedom. Every generation faces it in its own way. So maybe the real question isn't just, is Merkley right? But what are we doing to make sure our system still works? So, what do you think? Was Senator Merkley's speech a courageous stand for democracy, or just another political performance in a divided Washington? I'd really love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, because this is one of those stories where people's perspectives can be just as interesting as the event itself. If you enjoyed this breakdown and you want more stories that dig beneath the headlines, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes here with me today. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one.